episode 2 of Evolve. Here we will hear the story of Greg and I's origin. How did we get together? How did we meet? How did that relationship evolve? I hope you enjoy, and disclaimer, there is some raw stuff in here, so if you're easily offended or narrow-minded, this might not be the episode for you. Just FYI. Origin stories of Greg and Leah. How did we come to be who we are in our relationship, marriage? How did we meet? What's your version first? Let's go with your version first, because we know we don't share versions.
So I guess this time to start would be I was living in front of a duplex, renting from a guy that was right down the street from my aunt and uncle and my cousins. And I had just came back from Orlando from probably the lowest part of my life. I lost my house. I had already gone through a divorce. And I was coming, quote unquote, home. And I had said that if I could get back on my feet, I'd give my life to God. And so But
actually, first, you did live with your parents.
I did, yes.
You moved back in with them for a little bit.
Only until that apartment. Because prior to me moving in there, my cousin Peggy, she and her husband lived in there. So I was waiting for them to move out. And then the day they moved out, my dad and I went to Orlando and picked up the rest of my stuff.
So do you remember what year this was? 1997?
We married in 98 or 99. We were 99, so it had to be 97 or 98, yeah. I don't know what time of year it was. I can't remember specifically.
And at that point, I was already dating someone else who I thought I was definitely going to be with. Didn't really think anything.
Right.
I didn't know you, and this person was like my person. I was going to stay with them.
I don't remember actually the first time I actually met you. I think it was
I think it was
because you weren't going to our church.
Yes, I was. I was actually there before you, I think.
Were you? I don't remember. It's going to take a lot of memory jogging, I guess. But
I remember. I mean, I started going to the small little seedling church that they started, and
I do remember you standing in front of me. Sure. I guess that's the first memory of you. Is you had a blue dress on and.
Oh, you remember the dress?
I do remember the dress because I could see your partial. I could see a partial side boob when you raised
your hand. Side boob at church.
when you raised your hand. No, I never.
This sounds like quite an inappropriate dress, which I never really wore a lot of those.
No, it was a nice dress, and I remember you and Dory.
Was I living with my parents still, or was I already kicked out at that point?
I think.
No, I was already kicked out at that point at my house. So I was living with Dory, my older sister, and her baby.
But Dory had been coming before you, and then you came one. I guess I don't know. Maybe you were. Maybe it was the same day we got there at the same time. I don't know.
I don't remember. I remember only really officially meeting you when Mike had said, we're going to start growing and we needed a youth ministry. And I had talked to him privately because we had a really good relationship, Mike, Donna, and myself, like prior to you even being part of it, which I was saying earlier the other day. I hung out with your family before you were in the picture at church.
Well, yeah.
More than you hung out with your family. Your family and my family knew each other well.
Certainly knew my cousin Mike and my aunt and uncle. They were just relationships that I had and I saw with them on Christmas and that kind of stuff. And
so I think that maybe the first time we met was when, like, maybe we both approached him about, okay, hey, I'll help you out with the youth department.
He had, that you weren't part of that deal.
Yes, I was.
No, you weren't part of that when I was with him, because I was at a prayer meeting and you weren't there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know at that point if he already had mentioned that I had talked to him.
As I remember it now, I was pretty much, I won't say that. It was a lot of,
manipulation.
That was the word I was thinking, yeah. But
we'll talk about church trauma. We'll talk about church trauma other times. But today we're talking about our origin story.
I don't want to bash anybody or anything.
No,
or anybody's
it's definitely not about that. It's about
anything like that.
So, all of this is about relationship, life, love, relationships, right. The good, the bad, the ugly, the tender, and the toxic. Honestly.
So that's when I was. So the commonality of us meeting was the youth ministry. I being being called.
So even when we met, though, like, I didn't feel a connection to you because I was at the time, because my current boyfriend broke up with me and said we need to take a break, and I was devastated, and I thought for sure, like, oh no, he's gonna call me back, don't worry, like, we're gonna get together because I know he's the one. Obviously, fast forward, that didn't happen. You were officially attracted to me from the onset.
I that's your story.
No.
No, I actually was attracted to you, but couldn't understand why. Oh my God, you were not my type whatsoever. I mean, I was Barbie doll blonde, and
Yeah, this is true. You were the bimbo girl.
it is true, and I
was brown hair, boots, t-shirts, and
oh, but you did have the
tomboyish.
jeans. Yeah, there's a lot you had that I was attracted to, of course, but but I don't know. I wasn't seeing you that way until I think you intimidated. Well, our first event,
Well, that's the next part. So once we
encounter,
ended
yeah.
up like talking to the pastor, and he's like, "Yeah, hey, how about you both be these leaders, volunteer? You know, you both volunteered. How about you lead this youth group that's just getting started?
I know.
How about you come to my house and you'll start training with curriculum
Right.
to be able to, take this youth certification course." And that's the
I
day
remember
that
saying
you
to
said,
you, was it I that approached you in the parking lot, or did you approach me that we were going to get
well, we
together?
were just both leaving, and I was like, "Oh God!" And I made a joke and was like,
Yeah.
"Oh God, you're gonna be part of it? Oh, this is so weird."
And I was like, oh, okay. And then when you
But I
showed up,
guess you didn't know my humor yet.
no, well,
But yeah, I showed up. We showed up at his house, I think weekly, took classes. That's the story where you love to tell everybody I sat down and like was way too sitting close to you and made you uncomfortable. So like you actually jumped off the couch. Like I didn't have a lot of qualms about hanging out with guys because I was more tomboyish in my life. I wanted to be one of the guys. When it was with my brothers, like I wanted to be with them, not with girls and not doing Barbies. Though I did have a lot of Barbies, but I was just comfortable with guys. But obviously guys were not comfortable always if they didn't know me with me. I made you instantly uncomfortable. But so I think we met like weekly there for a while.
a long time.
Taking
Yeah.
this course.
Yeah.
How did it kind of evolve relationally after that? We kind of became
You-
instant best friends like in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you were going to get back together with.
Yeah.
I remember
We're
that
gonna-
was
we're
that was
gonna-
like
we're gonna cut out names of exes and stuff though.
okay.
Yeah, so we're not gonna say names of people if you don't have to.
All right, then I just won't say that. So you were with that.
I was not back together with my
No,
ex.
but
No.
we weren't actually best friends at that particular time. There was a little thing I wanted to add in there is you had about a week or two into us meeting after we met. You guys got together for lunch, and I happened to be going. Remember, here I am studying to be
Oh,
youth
yeah.
pastor, and I'm going to a
There's
little
a dirty little secret.
video shop to pick up a porn thing. Happened to be in the same place where you and him were going
getting
to
lunch, yeah.
Well, I think we met at Wendy's.
And I was like, oh, hey, there's Grace.
And you waved at me, and I don't think you saw me. No, I don't think you. I think I saw you.
No, I saw you. I
You
saw
did?
you. Yeah, but that's why you panicked when I told you about it later
Oh.
on. You're like, you saw me where? Because our upbringing was dirty trash.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't know that this man had this addiction going on. Anyway, so yeah,
It's
you
true.
brought that in.
Yeah. So
So that was the lunch where this ex said, we're done.
right.
I ended up running right back to the pastor and his house because you guys all lived on the whole family lived on the same street. So I ran back to them and got comfort, just like, oh my God, it's over and I'm just devastated. And I think I did talk to you that same day, or I went over to your house.
I don't know.
I think I actually came over and you were just like trying to comfort me, but you also were conflicted because you were just like, what the hell? What a jerk. Why would he dump you? Like, you're so amazing and I love you, but you didn't say all those things.
Well, prior to that, that's when I started to have like, oh my God, I'm really not. It's not just this physical attraction. In fact, I don't think I guess that's the whole point. Like, how could I be physically attracted to some person that I'm not physically attracted to? But it was
Like what your type isn't.
It was another attraction that I had that was like.
Well, that does remind me. So we did, maybe after the breakup was official. I'm not actually sure. It's kind of fuzzy. It's been 25 years, almost 25 years ago now.
More than that, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a little fuzzy on the actual time frames and stuff, but we did start getting together regularly to study outside of the weekly
Right.
certification classes we were taking.
We
So
started reading a book together, I think.
we did a lot of those. We did a lot of studying.
Well, I
books and
was
stuff.
on the.
But I came to your house one time, and I remember. Wait, let me say this. So I remember coming to the house, and remember the time that I was like, "I'm attracted to you spiritually."
Oh yeah.
And you sat up on the back of
I
us,
almost fell, man.
stupid like 1980s sectional, and almost fell because you started getting like. I guess you loved the compliment, but you felt a little bit uncomfortable about it too, and like not sure how to receive it. So we joked about it, and you sat on the back of this couch. And almost fell over, and like, of course,
that was one of the same nights that you and we were really getting really close because, like, I remember you.
I would say at that point we were best friends.
You were saying to me you couldn't wait till Jesus come because you didn't want Jesus to come quickly because you wanted to have sex first.
Okay, so we'll talk about that. That you obviously were not a virgin from childhood or whatever. I don't know. Teenhood. I was one of those raised super serious. Like, I was not gonna give away my flowering before I married. So yeah, my person who I thought was going to be the one dumps me, and I'm like, no way, I'm 18, 19, I'm going to be 20, and no way, and I still haven't had sex yet. Like, no, the rapture stuff better not happen until I have sex. So yeah, I probably talked about that with you. But remember, I want to say this. In the first 2 weeks we met, you told me like every bad thing about yourself, except the porn addiction.
And you still stayed.
And I still stayed. But I wasn't thinking like that this was going to be a long-term relationship. So it didn't bother me. I didn't care that you told me you used to be such a jerk to your girlfriends. I was like, oh, if I knew you then, I would not even be your friend. I remember saying that at your house one time. So yeah, so I guess it just started evolving from, like I said, I mentioned to you that one time, like, I'm spiritually attracted to you. That's so weird. Like, I've not had, in my whole life,
and
had that yet.
You were in another league of mine spiritually than, I mean, my parents said they went to church all the time. We did go to church regularly, but we were not.
Oh no, like it was
we were
my
attending
life.
the church. And it was not like we were. I'm not saying we were bad people, but
no, our family we
weren't like yours, where you guys are praying every day, having Bible study with the family, and our praying at home was God is great, God is good, let us thank Him for our food, and that was it. And
no, oh Jesus, no, that wasn't ours. But keeping on track with where we were heading, I think it just started evolving over time. Like, we just spent a lot of time together, studying, and I remember, I think the pastor of the church at the time had found out about that, and he's like, that's not really safe. Like, people who spend time studying, especially the Word of God, it becomes very intimate, and it could become a sexual relationship at some point. We're like, what? Okay, fine, whatever. Well, that's not, I wasn't thinking that way. I don't know about yourself, but like, I wasn't thinking that way because I was still like upset, devastated with the relationship breakdown and stuff.
And I think I went out with Christy.
Yeah, you dated someone. I went on a date with someone from a job that I had.
And that's when I realized, when you started dating or went on it, I couldn't imagine how incredibly jealous I was. It was weird. So, yeah.
Well, actually, no. The day that I went on a date with that guy from the rehab, no, let me not say that. The day that I went on the date with that guy.
No, he was a doctor or whatever.
Yeah. I could have been really wealthy. No, who knows?
You are really wealthy.
I am really
Shut
wealthy.
up.
But the day that I took that date and you found out about it, that girl, Christy, called you and said, hey, do you want to go out? And you're like, yeah, I'm going out. Because you were like kind of mad that I was going somewhere else. So, but like fast forwarding, I think it was just months and months and months. We were together almost every day. Greg and Ileana was the names that, like you said, simultaneously. And people just knew if I was with you, you were with me. Or if wherever I was, you were vice versa. But when do you think it started switching to more of a physical relationship and romantic, like this might be happening?
I don't know. I ran a test by you. I asked you if you wanted to, because I know you and your ex, you had mentioned that you had taken a shower together, and I ran a test.
Oh yeah, like church people. Let me just throw this in there. The purity contracts and all those things of the church. Like, it's all about intimate, like, intercourse. Don't do that. But we found ways around it in youth groups. Like, let's be honest.
Well, and
we did other things.
We were you and I actually, in our studies, we started we liked going to the airport at the time, and we would find ourselves just cold and hugging up behind my.
But I feel like you wanted to move forward physically more than I did, but you have a different version of that.
It's true. I think I did want to, and I ran a test by you to ask you to go into the shower with me, and I didn't even know. I really didn't. I'm not the most brightest guy in the world. I didn't know what taking it. I thought because I put you on a way more purity level than you actually were, I thought taking a shower was taking a shower.
Not like having any kind
not
of
no hand job or happy endings or whatever. And I did not at that time.
no reindeer games.
Right, and you came in the shower, and I thought, oh my gosh, she's absolutely beautiful. How do I not have a heart on here? That's all I could think of is how I could not have one because I didn't think you. I didn't.
So I do want to clarify for anyone listening. Like, I'm still not sure how we went from like being best friends that took showers together.
I don't know.
Like,
I can't find. I know.
sure
And then
how that happened.
the next time I remember. Well, I don't know how intimate you want to get in these conversations, but
Bring it all on.
all right. Well, you actually surprised the hell out of me, and you gave me a blowjob, and I was like, God, and then that was it.
That was in a car ride. So
No. That was at home. That was actually you, because we were having. We were rubbing hard, heavy petting, and you were on top having a good time, and you tell me you went, and I'm like, and I never heard anybody say that before either. You had a whole new terminology of these things, and then
I had my Christianese version.
right, and then so you went, quote unquote, and so then
I've never had a proper orgasm.
and I guess you thought, wow, I didn't go. I'm like, God, I didn't even have my pants off. And next thing you know, my pants are off, and you're giving me a blowjob, and I'm thinking, and you asked me if I wanted you to finish me, and hell yeah. So
it's so gray of how we went from.
So I don't know how it got there, but after that part, I was not going to try to sex you then. So,
right.
And that.
And then that kind of became at that point. No, so we didn't have any actual intercourse, intimacy. What's that like? Full on penetrative sex.
Penetration.
Before you asked me to marry you.
Right. It's true.
So I was.
We hadn't even kissed at all. I don't know how you got in my bed and were riding cowboy on the top. I don't know. We were in our underwear. I'm sure I was in my boxers and you were in your underwear. And there was some.
Well, so okay.
There was some cotton in between.
So the moral of this story is the pastor was right. Like, don't study scripture together. You'll end up naked,
in a shower,
doing things. And if you're like me, who comes from a very primitive background, is that the word? Primitive?
Primitive?
Like,
I don't know.
Religious background.
You surprised the hell out of me. You were much more wild than I even imagined. And I was like, jeez.
So, I was not going to have full-on sex until I was like, no, I'm getting married to this person. They're the one. So anyways, like fast-forwarding through all of our weird sexual experiences that were so...
Is our son going to hear this?
So unscriptural. How did we, like, the engagement part? Tell me a little bit about that. Like, what was your end? Because you said we were already in this, like, kind of a heavier relationship.
Yeah, we had it.
And you talked to your mom and something about this. Not what we were doing, obviously.
No.
But
I really felt, actually, I remember writing you a letter and taping it to your car.
And you put it on my steering wheel one night.
And you came back inside. You kissed me.
No, I drove away.
Yeah.
Read the letter. I think I was reading and driving. Oh, God. And then I was like, oh, my God, that was so sweet. You were so, what'd be a good word? Like, transparent and vulnerable and honest and just, like, worried about, like, how I would receive this letter. Because that's true. That was the very first. I think that actually came before any of the heavy petting stuff. I think that was the transition moment for me.
Maybe, yeah.
So that probably is. Let's rewind that there.
Yeah, put that in front of the horse. Because
the letter was the transition for me that I was like, I think I really have feelings for this person in a
and we kind of before the heavy petting thing, we went through our little ups and downs where we had to determine what were we.
Right? Are we friends? Best friends? Are we dating? Are we not dating?
Like friends don't. Because I remember you went with that couple on a Jeep and.
Oh yeah.
And then you also went on the boat with my cousin, and so that kind of didn't choose me, and I was upset about that. I really was hurt. And but it was making me realize, and I guess, side note right now, that's actually right when I started, why am I feeling this way? Why is this woman doing this to me?
Why is this bothering me?
Why is this bothering me?
If we're just friends, why is this bothering me?
So the question was, if we're just friends, why is the toothpaste toothbrush in my house? Why do you have keys to my things? Why are you doing my laundry?
I will say, a pretty overly confident person in so many ways. This is before I even
Well,
realized.
that's what attracted me to you too. You were very good, and you felt very comfortable in your skin. You did not care. You were quirky, but I loved it. I loved every bit of it.
I've always been a nerd. But the letter was the transitional part for me. I turned around after reading the letter, come in your house because I had the key. You had put yourself to bed. You said you were so stressed that you fell asleep.
I shut down. I didn't know what was going to happen.
You were like, I'm going to lose this friendship. That was the pivotal, like, stop being friends and now be a couple.
Right.
And I was so shocked that I walked into your room. You were sound asleep, and I kissed you on the cheek or something.
Yeah.
And you were like, and it woke you up. I was like, who falls asleep in 5 minutes? Like,
I
seriously.
shut down. I was so stressed.
And you were, and I don't know, did I say anything?
I don't know. I don't remember. You
Did I
kissed
say,
me and
like-
you left, and
I think I said something like, thank you for the letter or something.
I think you said you love me as well, but
I think so too. I think I did. And so that shortly must have been after that you
well,
talked
you
to,
were texting me, I love you, and this stuff.
because I did love you, and I
And
loved you as a
you-
best friend kind of loved you,
but
but you were interpreting it originally as
And
more.
we'd spend the whole day together, and then you'd go home. It was confusing to me because we would spend the
Yes.
whole day together.
And we're
going
going
to
to talk more about that later,
Yeah.
about relationships and how men interpret things and how women do, because this is a very big deal. And I've talked to more men, and our son now being a man, like he has such a different point of view of like how we as women start acting and treating you guys, how you interpret it. It's a whole nother topic. So, but the letter was the transition for us,
Yeah.
the relationship. We're no longer friends. That was the crux. That broke something in me of like, this guy is amazingly genuine. And we didn't actually say, you had 2 children
Yeah.
in this mix. So they were like
And-
7 and 8, 8 and 10, something like that. So my mind, one of the hiccups that I didn't want to marry you was I had this list of like my man. I had saved myself for someone who was also going to be a virgin, because in the purity culture, that's what you do. You wait for that first night. So you didn't match that. You had been married, you had kids. I didn't want to be a stepmom. I have had step parents and been part of a blended family. I didn't want that for me. My mom didn't want that for me. You were way older. We're 14 years apart. Like, that was just, I liked older men anyways. That was not my hiccup. That was more my family's hiccup. There were just too many things on the list that, like, no, you can't be this, because I've had this purity list since I was a kid. So that was hard for me to overcome emotionally, spiritually. But the more we connected and the more you just loved me, genuinely loved me, like, it just broke me down over time.
It's a good time for me to say I had been divorced twice by now. I've had the first.
And you were 33 at this point. I
Yes.
was 19. Sounds a little sketchy.
It does.
And that's why there was so many red flags once people found out we were engaged / dating / engaged. But let's go back to the thing real quick. After the letter, you talked to your mom. You must have talked to her and asked about an engagement ring or something came up about
I asked
the ring.
her if she still had my grandmother's wedding ring, and she said she did. And so I said I would like to get it. And she said, you're going to ask Ileana to marry you. And from my point of view, she was very excited. I don't know
if that was genuine
if it
or
was
not
genuine or not. But
yeah.
yeah. So that I got the, and this is a little bit later after we've like gone through the heavy petty part.
Yeah.
And we were, I don't know. Actually, we got removed from ministry before that.
Yeah, that's right. But were we engaged already?
No,
Yes.
we got.
I think we were.
No, we weren't.
No? Okay.
Because they rung us through the ringer because they.
Yeah, they called us both in from work.
Well, the way they did it was I remember when I asked you, I gave you I guess they were following us already. So
Yeah, they actually, the senior pastor had the associate pastor
follow us to the
airport one night.
And
follow
actually,
us
we weren't kissing because we never even kissed yet.
I know,
Our
he
first
said we
kiss was
were.
actually on our wedding.
I'm sure we probably were at that point because of where we were evolved to, but they
Well,
called
yeah.
us the next night, I think, and the next day after catching us at the airport, because they had said, we don't want anybody dating in our church, like, you're not going to be dating each other and blah, 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 which, yeah, on a whole other issue, but they found out we were sneaking out, which I don't really feel like we were sneaking anything,
No, but
apparently
yeah,
that's how they felt.
We weren't hiding enough.
And they called us to like Applebee's that after the next day they had seen us making out at the airport and said, you actually are going to lose your position. And that was devastating to me. I will say, this is good that we brought this up. That was the first time I seriously questioned, should I really be with you? Because I wanted my whole life, and I mean, I was only 19 at the time. like since 13, 14, 12, I don't know, to be a youth pastor, to be a youth leader, and now I had it and it's being taken from me. You can't be my right person. We just, like, when we left, we didn't even order food, I don't think. We left the restaurant, like, devastated.
We went
Couldn't
to
believe
some
this was
park
happening.
and sat for a
I
while.
just was devastated, crying, and I'm just thinking, we're not supposed to be together. This is a mess. This is a shit show for sure.
Oh, and they wanted us to stand in front. Remember, I had to write a speech in front.
No, they actually did kind of cover why. Oh, no, they said something like they're going to pursue a relationship. I think he announced that in the front of this little church. And I remember standing there thinking, like, I don't want to be pursuing this relationship. I wanted ministry. I wanted to lead. I wanted to minister to kids who were hurting like I was, which is a whole nother episode. But I lost it all, I felt like. So actually, instead of driving us apart, it did drive us together.
Yeah.
And you got the ring from your mom, your grandmother's ring.
Well, we were going to go to Rhema.
No, that's later on.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, later on in the story. So you got the ring, proposed. You had our friends like clean the ring and get it all ready for me. And you were like, let's go to the airport. And I was like, okay. And I think I was still kind of feeling down about losing our status, our position, my dream. And you proposed at the airport. And it's no secret to anybody, everyone who knows us, that like you proposed and I said yes. And I said in my head, I don't really love him the way that he needs me to love him, but I'll learn to love you. And I said yes. And we went home back to the family. It was a Sunday after church. We went back to your family since they all lived on the same road. Told everybody.
My family already knew when we came to the door.
Right, but not the pastors and not other family and staff members.
Yeah.
A few of them looked a little startled. I will say, we called everybody back to your aunt's house.
Your mom and stepdad.
I called my parents, who I was like, hey, you got to come. Something exciting is happening. I couldn't believe they said yes, and they all got in the car and came over. They do not do that kind of thing for me. Like, that doesn't happen in my world for me.
Yeah, your whole family.
The whole family loaded up because they were about to move away. They had sold the house and they were going to move
that's
north.
Right. Yeah.
So they thought, I found this out after the fact, they thought it was a going away party surprise for them.
Oh.
So when they sat down and we told this story, we said, it was so awkward too, right? Like, I remember you were like, God, that's stupid. You just shouted it out because it was so awkward. Like, my family didn't normally support me this way, like showing up immediately for something for me. So I was like, everyone sat down and it was weird. So I was like, we're engaged. And you were like, all right, you just kind of threw it out there. Nobody said anything. I think my mom for a second was like, when are you thinking of getting married? And we were like, I don't know, we're going to look at it, blah, blah, blah. It was so like tension.
Well, they thought you were pregnant. And
everyone thought I was pregnant. Like, absolutely. Like, they're like, there's no reason you would marry this person unless you were pregnant. I was not. But like my family got up from the table. My stepdad might have been mad and said something, mumbled. I don't remember. They left the house and they were done. My mom's crying. She calls me later and she's like, there's so many red flags. I just don't think so. The pastor told me, there's red flags. Everybody said red flags. Everyone that I trusted, everyone that I believed, was more spiritual than me, more connected than me, that I was, that I trusted to guide me in many different ways, from family members to staff. No one was really supportive that I can recall. It was so weird.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, all right, well, I think I'm going to take a break. I broke off. I talked to you at some point, came to you and was like, we need to talk about this. This isn't working. This kind of pressure of everyone against us and not for us.
Well,
I don't think I can marry this.
Bob, I think, said to your brother, one
of my brothers was like so supportive. I was really like,
and
wow.
It was shocking that he was as supportive as he was. He was not the one that I thought he would be. But
yeah, and he was the only one who
actually told you then to take the 7 days.
Take some time.
Fast each other to see if this is what you really want to do. And
if it is, don't worry about what other people say. And that was so helpful for me.
Well,
so
one
I took
thing
the time.
about us both is that we were very in that time frame. Even though we outsourced our direction
so much, we outsourced
to God,
so much. Oh goodness,
or other people too. But in this specific instance, we outsourced our time with God, and I took that same time. I fasted and didn't eat, and so I agreed with you. And
I was like sobbing in my bed, like, God, please answer me. Like, tell me if this is my person, because this is a life decision. That's the way I thought of it.
Think about, if I look back now, we truly, if you could have a definition of love, it was We had, that
Oh,
was,
yeah. You loved me so well. And that's why when you asked me to marry you, I knew you loved me very thoroughly, genuinely. You were the first man, aside from one of my brothers, to really pour into me emotionally and verbally and just amazingly. So that's why when you asked me to marry you, I was like, oh man, I'm not at his level of love that I'm giving, but I'll learn to be. And I think I have over time, right?
I think so.
Can you say that louder?
I think so.
So anyways, the week, I think I took a week. We actually worked together, so it was hard to we actually couldn't spend time away, 100% time of not seeing each other. We worked together, we were still going to church together, 3 nights a week and 3 days a week. So we still saw each other, but it was difficult.
Yeah.
So the night,
Got invited to birthday parties
yeah,
together.
there was all this going on. And you were fasting, and there was these parties and food, and oh my God, it was such an emotional time. And
I got a speeding ticket.
Oh, that's true.
We both got speeding tickets at the same day. We had to go to. We went to speeding school together.
Oh my God, so much stuff. But I think maybe it was a week I took and just devastated. And I was hearing nothing. Nothing. I don't know what you were hearing, but one of the mornings I came to work, because we did work together, and you come running out from behind one of the buildings on the property there, and you're like, I got to talk to you right now. And do you want to share that part?
Well, I had taken this time too. I wanted to make sure that I had 2 failed marriages, and
Right.
and
This is true. Yeah.
had hit rock bottom. I needed to make sure that this was the person that I wanted to be with. And at this time, I was stuck. Man, I really, truthfully put my life in God's hands much as I thought I could, according to Scripture. And I did this course to learn. I remember, I forget the guy's name. My cousin my younger cousin gave me this how to be a good husband.
Yeah.
And according to Scripture, and I really spent that week engulfed in that study, and
yeah, I remember.
it was really good. I got to say that I gained a lot of good points. But anyway, I regress. I remember that time when you're referring is in that study. I realized, you know what? I'm going to go forward with or without this person.
Yeah,
And
that's why you came out from behind the building that day at work, and you're like, I gotta talk to you.
I love you, but
Yeah.
if you don't want to go forward with me, that's okay. I'll still go forward. I'm still moving on.
And you were like, I'm gonna love the Lord. I'm
Right.
so committed. And that was like the letter for me. It was a pivotal point for me that I was like, this is a great man. It's
I am a
just.
great man.
Are you getting teary-eyed?
No,
No, of course not. Not you, ever.
ever.
That was my pivotal point, but it wasn't my answer. So I think maybe that night or the next night, I forget, I messaged you and I'm like, all right, we just need to talk. I know you're suffering with not knowing what I want, and
Oh God, not
everyone's
knowing.
suffering
Yeah,
here.
it was
Let's
a
just
mess.
forget it. We're gonna get together. So we met at a parking lot. We have a lot of parking lot situations. And there's no making out at this one, I don't think, though.
No.
So we're sitting there, and just I think your head was down. We're in the back of your.
I was
You
for
just,
sure you were going to tell me
No.
and you had
And
to
I
ring
thought
out.
I might say no. Even up to this moment, I'm like, I still don't have an answer. I don't know if we had even talked much. We're just kind of
sitting there, and you handed the ring to me, and you said, and I thought, oh, it's over.
It's over.
And you said, try again.
Ask me again.
Ask me again.
Oh. Yes, now he's crying. And I said, ask me again, because what I heard in my heart that moment, prior to those 2 words, or ask me again, that's 3 words, was do it, say yes, and watch and see what I'll do. Remember?
Yeah.
And I told you that. And you just started crying, I think, then in the back of this truck. He can't talk right now. And I knew you knew that you thought it was over at that point. But so that was the surprise, no way.
She does it all the time now, you know.
That's just my MO. I like making you surprised and having fun. But that essentially set off the rest of our life. And I didn't know how I was gonna.
There was absolutely no stopping us from there at that point forward. It was like we watched one of our favorite movies. Is about where are we going? 1 mile. 0.1
Yoder here.
Oh, right here.
One of our favorite movies. What?
The one where they got to go through what is it? We watched with Ray or those people.
Oh my goodness, what is the name? That was the wedding song we picked.
Right, and
from
they got to go
Aerosmith.
through the barrier breakers, and it's like once they got, that was a space movie. So once they
I can't even think of the name of the
door-
movie with Bruce Willis and them, where they go to space.
and
or
the
something.
Earth is going to end. Once you're what do you call, past the Earth's atmosphere, it's hell getting to that point. You're on fire, you're burning up, and everybody is freaking out. But once you break that barrier, it's like smooth sailing. And I don't know if the last 25 years have been smooth sailing, but
Oh no, we have so much to talk about and unpack here because I mean, there's a lot that we didn't know. Each of us had issues in that we didn't. I mean, like I said in the beginning of this, or somewhere in it, that like in the first 2 weeks, you told me all the crazy stuff you've done in your life, and I was like, oh my god, I never would have been your friend. But there was still stuff we were hiding, still stuff we didn't know we had.
But
traumas,
breaking
triggers.
that part there was the bond. There was when I say smooth sailing, how can I say this? And I hope you're going to cut all this crap out. The word I'm trying to think is confident. Our relationship became solidified and confident. I can't say you.
Well, I will say we thought so at that point, and looking back, we can say that. But we have had some bumps that were like, we didn't know if we were going to make it past. So each episode we'll talk about more different things we've overcome, different challenges we faced, different traumas that we had to unpack from one another, and the patience we had to have about how do we walk through, how did we evolve through some of these transitions in our marriage. But that's essentially our origin story. We ended up, once I said yes again, like we did the proposal again, and we were all on board at that point. Like, we're so excited. We married in like 3 months after that.
And everything was like
bam, 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 bam. And it was so perfect. Everything. I mean, I think we paid $600 to get married. That was out of our pocket. Everything else, someone else contributed. They bought the limo, they bought the flowers, they bought the food. We paid $600. We actually made money at our wedding.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, not think so. I remember counting, like, at our honeymoon. Oh, geez, that's a whole nother story, the honeymoon stuff. But we'll share that another time. That's essentially, like, our origin story that's, best to our memory.
I'm sure we'll fill in the blanks as we go through.
Yeah, but just the fact that, like, what we had to overcome, we thought everyone else knew better for us than us. And I love the fact that, like, that was, I will say for me, the first time I trusted my gut instinct outside of, like, I went with my gut instead of what everyone else said. And since then, it has been an evolution for me of doing that more and more and more, and stopping slowly over 25 years of outsourcing.
That was your first experience with your intuition then?
I feel like it, but I know I've had other times in my past. But big one with that made a big decision in my life.
That you could look back and say that was the God in me speaking.
Absolutely. I went with my gut, and man, we have had people even to this day who meet us, and when they meet us together, they're like, "You're such a power couple," and we're like, "Really?" But we do. Yeah, we've had so many cool things. We're gonna have to end here just because we're almost at our hike for the day here, but. Yeah, we have so much to share. I mean, in 25 years of just ups and downs relationally, I also want to spend time talking to other people who haven't had success and get different people's point of view about relationships, because they don't all work the same. And ours has not been a happily ever after just because it sounds super fun right now. We've been through crazy crap. So until next time, say goodbye.
Bye.
We'll see you next time, guys.
Pretty much the short version of it. There is so many more details that go into this whole relationship, but we will start unpacking those as we go. We had a great hike that day. I'm just going to tell you, say wonderful, amazing. If you don't get outside much, get your butt outside. It's not just good for your mental health. Take your partner, take your friends, take your family. It's great for relationships. Until next time, be evolving.